What's up, everybody? Welcome back on this Thursday evening to another episode of Strong Therapy. Without any further ado, I'm going to kick it on over to the hosts over there, Brian and Carolyn Strong. How you guys doing tonight?
Oh, I am overjoyed about tonight's show.
Yes.
I can't help it. He is my favorite of on Compound Media, and he is the host with the mostest with In Hot Water.
Yes.
Great comedian. He's Italian. He's hot. He has passion.
Full of energy, if you will.
And I can't help it because I feel like this show this week is going to be filled with so much greatness and fun that I want to bring him on the show really quickly and not even talk about my week because I have a feeling we'll have tons to talk about. So we would like to welcome Geno Bisconte.
Yay!
Welcome.
Hey, until you said Italian, everyone's like, that's got to be Aaron Burr. Funny, good looking, but no. Aaron's busy being successful. I'm kidding. Thank you for having me. I fucking adore you two. And I would love to hear about your week. What did I miss? Do I sound okay? Because as I told you earlier, I accidentally slammed my $8 fucking white trash laptop onto the ground 19 times. Yeah, I think the 15th time I called it George Floyd. But it doesn't matter. My laptop is out. You're on my cell phone. You guys look great. How was your week?
Week was good. A few weeks ago, Brian pushed me down some steps.
A lot of them. I didn't realize your house was so big and so many floors.
Exactly. And then
we keep a lot of dishes on the stairs as well.
Good
That's
china.
Weird. That's so weird.
Really good china.
Couple horns.
And then what doesn't help is that in our real life, I tripped over a dog and I sprained my ankle. So I think I'm just prone to getting hurt. Hopefully I'll be healed by Austin. So that's my goal.
And then we aggravated your hip.
Yeah. But that was a little bit of fucking.
That's good stuff.
Yeah,
I guess either your hip was getting aggravated or Brian was getting aggravated.
I think I've said this quite a few times. I'm the most active of the two. He is a sedentary man.
Yeah, I was going to say your laptop, for the techies out there, your laptop was probably calling home 127.0.0.1.
Oh, God, I have no fucking clue.
What does that mean?
That's basically home. It's itself, if you will.
Really? Because let me tell you, I fucking recalibrated that fucking number. Deep six. I mean, I'm telling you, I say this all the time. I can't have nice things. I'm sitting in the nicest thing I own. The best thing I own is my cat. She actually owns me. But I spend money very freely on my friends and booze, but there's nothing I really need. And when it comes to buying a laptop, they're like, you should buy a really nice one. Why? So I can break it? Because I can't have nice things, you know? So I buy a $200-$300 Dell, but you expect it to last more than a year and a half, and it doesn't. And I don't even get mad that it doesn't, but I think I'm mad at me that I'm always surprised that it doesn't. You know what I mean? And then I take it into the fucking my computer guy, because when you're buying Dells, you're going to them every year, and the guy's like, did you make an appointment because of COVID? And I said, no, just fix this and let me know if it's worth fixing. And I know they're going to call me tomorrow and be like, just, find another $80 and get another laptop. So it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Dude, you got a Dell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't fucking do the Apple thing. And Apple is like, let me tell you, Apple is like the new fucking, Hitler. Although then you'd think I'd like Apple, because everyone on the Apple, everyone on the iPhone, there's this arrogance, like, what is it when you're on the iPhone, the Android people, their texts come in a different color, and the people are snobby about that. It's like, are you nuts? That's how they started rounding up the Jews. Like, yeah, they're dirty, awful people. Ooh, fucking those people on fucking androids. They're dirty, awful people.
Yeah,
and some white people on them, so I don't get it. What?
And you run into also, if you send a little heart or something to someone that doesn't have an apple, they'll be like, I didn't get that, or I don't get that because of whatever. And you're like, well, what do you have? I have a
scabies.
An incredible drinking problem, crippling alcohol addiction,
an addiction to porn, addiction to porn,
a hobby, an addiction to my porn hobby. That makes it better.
I like some good old porn.
No,
come on.
So I don't know if you saw in the news. We do a couple different things here, Geno. So our news therapy segment. The first article that I brought up was Krispy Kreme is basically giving away unlimited free vaccines. Oh my fuck! I'm so nervous.
Krispy Kreme is basically giving.
Wow, let me tell you, the way you talk, you could host in hot water. You really could.
Sorry.
You gotta jump, like you can't get away with that on in hot water. Like they jump on you the second you say something remotely wrong. Half the time it becomes a bit. What was the thing I yelled? Oh, you know how crazy I get. And thank you for calling me passionate, because in fact I have a magnet that says passion on it because it's like my favorite word. Although I think it's becoming gratitude. But one time I was going on one of my crazy rants, and I'm like, comedy, I tried to say heals you from the inside, and it came out hears you, so people are like, hey, comedy hears you from the inside. And of course, where I can get another word out, Berg and the booth guys have some kind of thing with the word comedy. It's like, hey, I'm inside you listening. It's like, that's not what I said. So you can't.
Yeah, are you okay,
Phil,
Geno?
just trust me. The way you're stumbling over words, yeah, that's a Thursday for me, gorgeous. So, hey, by the way, Carolyn, not sure if you know this. I hear Krispy Kreme is basically giving away donuts if you got vaccinated. Is that correct? You stuttering fucking cunt. Anyway, this is
I fucking love you.
Yes.
Thank you.
How much fun is this? Right?
I love it. Thank you for the cleanup. All right. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
Can you believe this shit?
Why in the hell is Krispy Kreme so concerned about who the hell's getting vaccinated?
I didn't. I'm going to be honest. I didn't really pay attention. Explain to me what the deal is with the article. I mean, what are they saying? Like, if you come in with your yellow star on your shoulder, you get a free donut. Is that literally what it is now?
Pretty much, bring your validation that you got your vaccination, and you get fucking unlimited free donuts. I almost said it again.
This almost sounds like.
I only want you to say that now. Did that or whatever. So go on.
I was just going to say, I think this is a very left-leaning idea, because the Midwesterners really love donuts and fatty foods. Let's hit them where they like it. Let's get them some donuts out there in the Midwest, and maybe they'll get vaccinated.
I just think it's silly. I mean, I
think it's scary more than silly. But what do you mean? What do you mean silly? But you know me, I overreact.
I know I use the word silly because I hold back my passion a little bit.
I think you use the word silly because as a parent, you've been trained not to get excited like in front of your kids who are fucking perfect. Nice shooting text. Good work, Brian. You two aren't good at speaking, but you're good at making kids. But let me give you both a compliment, and this is why I think you say silly. And I've said this on the show, and I'll say it again. One of the few people I listen to, and I know you guys will agree, Michael Malice, because he's a smart guy. And when he says stuff, there's stuff I'll ask him, like, am I right to think this? And when he says yes, then I'm arrogant. I'm like, you can't. But he was talking to Dave Smith, and this is the virtue signaling that goes on with, I feel like, in this whole past year. And it's like, and it's you. It's like if there's an earthquake, Carolyn, if you're in the supermarket and there's an earthquake and you're there with any of your three perfect daughters, no matter how freaked out you are, you're going to look at them and be like, everything's fine.
Okay.
You might be shitting in your pants, but because you're fucking raised right and you have something you're not about yourself, you'll be like, everything's fine. And that's why I sit here with just a cat who knows I'm insane and goes, this donut shit is terrifying. And you're like this is silly, girls. Girls, the donut thing is very silly. Can mommy go inside and have a panic attack? Okay. But and I why you say silly, and you, if you watch In Hot Water, I constantly give props to Aaron Berg and my best friend, my brother, and I say, and the same with you two. I don't have the moving parts in my life that you guys have. I don't have to be responsible for children. I don't have to be responsible for my job. I don't have to be responsible in my neighbor. I don't. You know, and I was talking to a fan this week, shout out Jason in Connecticut, sends me a text, and he's totally like me, you know, mentally, mindset, and he goes, yeah, I'm getting the vaccine this week. And I say to him, why are you getting the vaccine? And the second he says it, I just sit there, and I'm proud that this is, and I say friend, because all our friends like you guys are just your fans who are friends. He's like, well, I have 2 kids, and it's just so easy. Makes it so much easier for them if their dad has the vaccine. End of discussion. So circling back to these fucking donut Nazis, I get why you say silly. So go on.
So as far as it being silly, I think it's...
Yes, Jews are insane and they're not people. Oh, you're doing a different thing, right?
So as far as...
Oh, wait, let me read what you wrote off the record. All right, go on. Sorry, I forgot the off the record part you put.
You're fine, sweet. So as far as fucking donuts and fucking people, I don't understand why there's so much promotion in this. I mean, just either people are going to get it or they're not.
Right.
I mean, just the thought of, you know, I'm not going to lie, I'm teetering myself. I don't know if I want to get it. I'm not sure I want to do it because of my children, but my children will not get it. I've already made that decision. They will not get it.
They're too young. Well, and let me ask you this: your children, you got the vaccines for your kids, right? Like, we're not anti-vaxxers. You get them the polio. What's that? They didn't get vaccines of anything?
Our kids have gotten other vaccines.
Of course. Okay.
This vaccine, I personally, and this is, anyone can have their beliefs or what they want as far as vaccines are concerned. My personal thing is they haven't had long-term testing on this, and this is the seriousness of my thought process. I already had fertility issues getting pregnant. I don't know what it's going to do in the long run to women or men, children, of course. So if it comes to that point,
possible sterilization.
I don't know. I don't want to be like one of those QAnon people. I want the facts. I want you to be able to tell me, no, this will not happen. I don't want to be the cause of that.
Could be more population control or something.
And I had COVID, and most likely Brian did too. The kids were around us.
I had a headache for a week and indigestion.
And I believe in you build an immune system. 2 things. So if the kids did get it, they built an immune system. I believe that with almost everything, except for things that kill massive people like smallpox and those kind of vaccines, right? So as far as that's concerned,
what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Well, and with my kids, that's how I feel now. Me deciding if I want to do it or not. And I get what you're saying. I'm protecting my kids, but I also look at the fact that I feel like this vaccine also has put another divide in our country and families, because now is it going to run into, I can't be around certain people in my family that do get vaccinated and they have small children and they don't want me to be around them because I'm not vaccinated. Like, I worry about those things, and that has to do with my family because, you know, as an Italian, I'm Irish Italian. My family is my biggest thing, right, Geno?
You got yourself a drinker there, Brian. You got yourself a drinker. My sister-in-law is Irish, and so her side of the family is as much fun as ours. We enjoy ourselves. We do. Yes. Go on.
So you get what I mean. Like, I will probably in the end get it to protect myself, even though I don't really think it'll protect me.
Maybe down the road you'll get it, because right now it's kind of like you never buy the first version of something, kind of like a computer, like with a new operating system. You kind of want to wait to work it in to get the kinks out of it.
Right.
So maybe with this vaccine, maybe get one down the road, that because they're making several. The thing I don't understand is why the fuck do you got to keep wearing a mask after the vaccine? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
None of it does. And here's the beauty of it, and I've said this. And again, circling back, every time I say that now, I'm half serious, half making fun of that dizzy broad. But circling back, like, that's something you can't control. Like, everyone has to handle this in their own fucking way, you know? And I've said it, like my friends Kevin and Molly, like they had a kid, and when I went over there, they're like, "Can you wear a mask?" It's a 3-month-old baby. I'm like, "Of course." And if I go into a bar and I have to wear the stupid mask till I sit down, as dumb as it is, I will, because I want the world opening up. But when I'm on the subway, not wearing a mask. And if an 80-year-old woman wheels up and sits next to me and says, "Put on a mask," I will. She probably wouldn't. You know, it's always these young kids half my age. But the simple fact of it is, we've gotten so much conflicting information. So, I mean, anyone that fucking doesn't feel they're being lied to by Dr. Fauci, flat out lied to. I did a podcast earlier this week, and my friend Rachel, dear friend of mine, and she's like, "Well, he wasn't lying. He was just not telling the truth for her own good." It's like that's like, you know, that's like saying, look, the reason, like, and I said, that's like me talking to my kid. The reason I lied to your mother about fucking that hooker, what, that was for her own good? Stop it. And I don't care, because you saw the post I put up. You look at the smug look of a guy that hasn't played by the rules for the past 12 years. And that's not necessarily true, because I think we all, and I said this on the show today, if you watched when I was talking to our guest, Johnny Rowe, the author, I said, you know, it's like any great artist. Oh my God, Carolyn, you're an artist. You couldn't paint that incredible picture of my cat until you knew how to paint a picture of an actual cat. You don't learn how to break the rules until you know the rules you're breaking. And I lived 4 months, didn't go see my niece and nephew, who, by the way, if you guys out there have nieces and nephews, they're garbage. They're garbage. Mine's better. But, you know, because I didn't want to give them the fucking, the COVID and kill their grandparents. So you did that for 4 months. And then after a while, you're like, I've been in New York. I didn't have it. Let me read up. And you start doing your own research, and you start asking your own questions. And if you blindly want to follow this shit, that's fine. But when I look at you and say, I'm not getting the vaccine, like most people are like, yeah, good, don't, but you've got I hope you're not getting it. But no one, I'm not saying to everyone, I hope you get it, you know, and it's all gonna like flesh out in its own way, but you can't break the rules until you live by them. And when you live by them and say, look, I play by your rules, and this just seems like a fucking control grab, you know, and I believe that. And if you don't, fine, but we've been talking about this on the show a lot. The past year, fucking the fucking people that just wanted that, you know, when you're a genuine artist, you wake up every day and you're like, I gotta create, I gotta find a way to get it out there. And when you're fucking a puppet, when you're a good little, and Michael Malice says it perfectly, when you're fucking, you know, when you're a coward, you want to be told what to do. And you feel safer when you're obeying fucking rules rather than finding what you want and living your own fucking life. And that's what we're seeing. And it's like, I look back at the past fucking, I said this on the show today. I've been saying a lot. It's like the guys, like the fans that come out and they're like, I just want to thank you for what you did the past year. And I didn't think it was anything. And the more I look back, it was really something. Like, I'm so proud that I was able to go to work every day, to fucking go in live, sit behind that desk. It's one of the greatest things I've ever done. And I know that sounds like hyperbolic, but it's not to me the more I look back at it. You know what I mean?
No, it was in hot water. Compound media in general, I think, kept a lot of people laughing, sane.
It did.
Laughing, sane, laughing at the bullshit that you saw on the news and the television. I mean, personally, again, I say personally a lot because I always speak for myself. This past year was so difficult for everyone, including me, that I became, and me and you talked about this, I would send you information and I'd be like, what the fuck? I probably in the like last month and a half, 2 months, I shut off the news. Like, I shut off the news. Don't watch the news. I had to.
And you guys feel free to make fun of me because you know I got addicted to Fox News. It was laughable. But go on. You're smarter. My mother, if I can pay you yet another compliment, my mother used to turn off the news, and this is the late 70s, early 80s, and I can tell you stories about her all day. She was hilarious. Like, people always say, why are you a comedian? Were your parents funny growing up? And I always say, your parents are your parents. Like, I'm sure your kids laugh all the time because they don't take themselves seriously. You don't realize it when you're a kid. I always say, if your dad wakes up every day and punches your mom, you're like, well, everyone's dad wakes up every day and punches. No, they don't, but you think it's normal. And my mother, we always laughed all the time. I'll never forget, my dad would come up from the farm. My mother was losing her hearing. She wasn't deaf, but she had weak hearing, so she couldn't hear certain noises. So we'd sit down to dinner. Oh, you guys are making me so happy. She would sit down to dinner and she would take the phone off the phone would ring and she was like, no, don't talk on the phone. She would take it off and she'd be eating, right? And it would start making that noise. and Dad would get so aggravated. And Mom would look up and be like, is the phone making a noise? And Dad would lose his mind. And me and my brother would laugh like maniacs, you know? And that's the thing, but she would always be like, we're not watching the news. And I hear so much of this shit now. And like when people like you talk like that, it just reminds me of that. It's a selfish thing, because as much as I'm complimenting you, I'm complimenting me for knowing you're an awesome person, and I'm trying to take credit for you being one, but go on.
Well, I appreciate that. It just shows why we're a lot alike. I mean, you can tell him, how did I tell it, how I am at dinner time?
It's dinner time, and it's not any other time. It's being dinner time.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the thing that's scary now about this COVID shit is it's kind of like Pandora's box has been opened, and now
what do you mean?
They can
like I kind of agree in a way, and you're used to me interrupting you by now. You watch our show, but yeah. I say like it's like I feel like the left leaned into it so they could fucking win the election, which I think they did, and I don't care. But I feel like they leaned into it so much they can't get out of it. You know what I mean? It's like once he's in. Once fucking Biden's in, we'll just fucking lift all the restrictions. And they're like, no, it got way away from them. And that's why we are where we are. And people like us are like, it's nothing. It's the flu with a better publicist. I like your sticker. And other people are like, that's the worst thing ever. And I think the people that are screaming it's the worst thing ever, the Democrats are like, Christ almighty, I didn't think people would be this fucking stupid. Is that what you mean?
Well, I think part of that is I think they've accumulated a lot of power with this COVID. And once you've accumulated power, you're very desperate to not give it up. So it's very easy for them to introduce a new strain of something else and just call it COVID at this point.
Mm-hmm. Also, a lot like there's like the perfect way to put it is, you know, it's like, well, are they grouping the flu as COVID? And I have a friend who's a nurse, and this was really confusing because first, like, she's very liberal, and I've seen pictures of her with Hillary Clinton from years ago before all the insanity. But she reached out to me when she heard about all my stickers and stuff. She's like, "Gee, do you think COVID's a hoax?" I said, and she's an emergency room nurse, and I said, "No, Beth, I don't think it's a hoax, but I just think I think it's a really bad flu, and I think we shouldn't shut the country down." She goes. She's like, I said, what are you seeing? She's like, well, we're seeing a lot, but it's what you think. It's old people, blah, blah, blah. It's fat people. And she goes, she doesn't say fat because she's a nurse. She has to say obese. But she goes, but I don't think we should shut the country down either. Don't tell anyone I voted for Trump. Don't tell anyone, but I voted for Trump. You know, but then she sends me a graph that I think she's on my side because it shows a graph of like, here's COVID and here's the flu. And I said, so what do you, if you see a graph that says this is COVID and this is the flu, what do you guys think that means?
That they're not really registering the flu.
Yeah, they're grouping COVID as the flu, right? Excuse me, they're calling the flu COVID. That's what I said, and I write back. I'm like, right? So I'm right. They're grouping all the flu as COVID, and she goes, no. Get a load of this. She's like, no. And she's not fucking with me. I didn't even respond because I didn't know what to say. She's like, no, what that means is the masks can stop the flu, but they don't stop COVID. And my brain, I made that face, Brian, because I'm like, well, if that's true, one, I don't think that's true. Two, if it is, why are we even bothering wearing masks? Because we know the flu fucking doesn't kill people. Who gives a fuck about it? Just made no sense to me. So it's more of like all this, they opened a Pandora's box that no one can wrap their brain around.
Yeah, it's like they could say, well, this strain, we expected it to kill a lot more people. Let's just introduce something else, and we'll say it's a COVID strain that just mutated. And I thought it took years and years and years for things to mutate naturally. It doesn't happen within months. No, and whether it does or doesn't, it's a fact that when it mutates, it's even less lethal. And it's incredible how polarized the entire country has become because you watch that clip of Ron Paul, as Aaron calls him, Rand Paul fucking dressing down fucking Joe Biden, Dr. Fauci, where he literally says what you said. He's talking about, he's like, you sit there talking about like, dude, they get a reward. Well, they should at least not have to wear a mask. And there's not a single case evidence of someone who got COVID, getting COVID again and getting seriously sick, let alone dying from it. And he goes, that's why it's all theater. And all that fucking Fauci says is, here we go with the theater again. It's not theater.
That's what the scientist says. And if you read someone, Huffington Post or anyone on the fucking left, they're like, watch Fauci dressing down fucking Dr. Rand Paul, who's an ophthalmologist. It's like, how do you say that when his comeback was, oh, theater again? Yeah, it's theater. It's theater. And it really is its own worst punishment, fucking just blindly obeying these people, I think. It's like, and that's what I say to everyone. It's like, look at me. I didn't do it for a year. And nothing happened to me, knock wood. And if it does, it does. But it's got to be such a nightmare to fucking still be giving control of your life in this day and age to fucking people that have basically lied to you the entire time. And the only thing that makes people say they're not lying to them is the people that lie and said that wasn't a lie. It was just them fucking moving the goalpost. It was. I had someone on the show say, Adam Sank. Did you see that episode where I'm like, if this is the doctor, why does he say you don't have to wear a mask? He's like, well, the next day he said you did. I'm like, so if you're in charge of the entire country's health and well-being, you go on 60 Minutes knowing, well, if I'm wrong, I'll change my mind tomorrow. And you believe this guy? Have a nice life, faggot. I was talking to Brian when I said faggot.
Well, and going back to how they sit there and say, how they say things
Brian's
like,
trying to kill me.
how they say, Fauci will say one thing and another. Well, and the other person said, well, we just did that to protect Americans. And not to, yes, I am a Trump fan. Yes, I voted for him. You can hate me or not. I don't care. But he said things and said, I didn't tell everyone because I needed to protect Americans. And it was all a big fucking thing. Remember when he had the private conversation that was leaked about, and that was a big fucking to-do about the fact that he lied to Americans. Why did he do that? Well, you know what? Sometimes you don't tell Americans everything or your country to protect them, to keep people from fucking rioting,
Right.
breaking things, stealing things, starting fires, attacking people. I don't know. Maybe that was important.
Hell,
during
that happened
the time.
anyway.
That's why my point was my point. But
Right.
but as far as that's concerned, I don't like this whole. I grew up a Democrat.
Yeah.
And over time, my beliefs have changed. I worry about my kids, and I worry about how kids are raised today, how we're supposed to. My dad taught me, don't believe a motherfucker. Don't believe people. Have your own thought process. Learn yourself.
Just don't blindly follow.
Don't be a sheep.
Yeah, if they jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? Or how about this one? If they say you're stupid, they're not your friend. It's that. It's everything your mother told you growing up, your father told you growing up. You're like, wow, are we really in third grade again? Because it all applies again.
Yeah.
And that's
hope that some bitch can swim.
And that's what's concerning is because like you said, I lived my life. Brian, I would say, would have been more inside than I was. I was like you, Geno. I went out to the grocery store. I went to the gas station to get my Polar Pop. I went and did this. I protected my kids and made them stay home, and I went out, but I didn't pretend like I was in danger. Right. And even made a joke of it when I went to the doctor's office and had a cold and was coughing, and I was like, "What? I got fucking COVID." I mean, I made that joke to my doctor. And he was like, yeah. And I said, well, I got to go to fucking Sam's Club to get toilet paper. We're down to one roll. You know?
You didn't buy it in bulk like all the crazy cowards?
We were down to the last one of the fucking box of whatever he usually gets.
I went kind of... I went down to another smaller town that had a Sam's Club. Because there's just less people to serve down there, so I was able to get shit.
He went apocalypse now, dude. I ain't gonna lie. He went and ordered shit off. What was the wonderful company that Mr. Anthony Cumia shares, where they have the food and soups and stuff?
Oh, I keep forgetting. It's something. Because I listen on the walk home. I'll say this: when we first started, we were still doing mornings, which was great. But now, when the world came back and they opened the studio, they moved us to afternoon to open up for the boss. And I said like that, like I will do our show. I'll walk home, get some air, get some sunshine, fucking get some exercise, listen to the boss's show. It's the best 4 hours anywhere in hot water and the Anthony Cumia show. Preparewithconfidence.com. There you go. That's the name of the thing.
Thank you.
Preparewithconfidence.com. I thought of it without thinking of it. Your second attention wanders.
So right when everything started, Brian did order that stuff. Now I'm on the flip side.
Because we have kids. The reason I did that, because I didn't know if they were going to like lock us in our freaking house, with military, who knows.
And I was like the fucking mom, like, why is he doing this? He's a weirdo. Why is he doing this? Oh my God.
Is that how she says it, Brian? Does she say it like that, buddy?
Sometimes.
I didn't want to say it to you.
You're a fucking weirdo. What the fuck's going on? You got tubs of food. You're fucking weird. That's fine. We got food and we got pancakes in case we need it. Or if you smoke out.
Yeah, I haven't smoked out in a minute. Okay, so then
we got a shitload of pancakes, man.
Yeah, if I,
So basically, free donuts.
Yeah,
so by the way, I was about to bring that up again myself. It's like, but it's scary that it's literally exactly that. It's like if you obey, you'll get a treat. Joe Biden goes on there, is like, look, if everything goes well, maybe by July 4th we can, maybe by July 4th we could have a picnic. Fuck you old man. I don't give a fuck what you think. Go shit your pants. I don't care. I don't care. And the arrogance, and that's it's. I don't know what's more frightening that he can say that, or that people think it's normal. And like, can you imagine being the bit like, oh, how great is that? Hey, if we're good, we can hang out with our family on July 4th. No, that's wrong. It's literally. They deserve. It's literally what the government can get away with at this point. I feel like you know what I mean. It's not like It's not like when Thanksgiving when they said you can only have 10 people, no more than 10 people for Thanksgiving. No one got arrested, not in this country at least. And I honestly think it's like let's see if they'll do it. Let's see if they'll do it. You know what I mean? Like I don't wear a mask on the subway, and I was gonna say this. I guess I got away from it. Like, and at first, I would get dirty looks, and now it's like. Between all the misinformation they've gotten, the conflicting, I should say, between Fauci saying, don't wear a mask, wear a mask. 2 masks is better than 1. Between the CDC or the WHO, I can't keep track, coming out one day and literally saying, hey, if you're asymptomatic, it doesn't spread. And the next day, them pulling back, even though I know that's true, even though Rand Paul called out, it's like no one, they pull it back and you can't convince me it's not because, well, we can't have people walking around feeling confident and safe. We have to have them second guessing even feeling fine. And that's why when you're wearing a mask on the subway, like before, they would never do it. But I wish someone was like, why aren't you wearing a mask? I'm like, I don't have COVID. And if they said, how do you know? I'd be like, you just proved my point. How do I know? How do I not know if I have the worst pandemic of my lifetime? How do I not know? I still don't know if I ever had it because I don't get tested because I don't have time for that shit. And I don't think anyone ever woke up in the 1920s and said, I wonder if I keep fainting and throwing up and can't put on weight because I have the Spanish plague, Spanish flu. I wonder if anyone woke up in the Middle Ages with a boil on their neck, throwing up blood, saying, I wonder if I have the bubonic plague. Yet here in this place, we not only do we have to have constant testing, we have to have constant retesting, and we have to keep recalibrating the test. That's not a pandemic. That's a fucking promotion.
I have a friend of mine that tested positive with COVID. All over Facebook, she was saying how bad she felt, and I feel awful for her. And then I kid you not, last night her prayer was, God, please help me. I'm not going to make it through it. This woman FaceTimed me today right before the show, real time, and says to me, like, looks in the picture, all smiling, cheeks pink, all looking wonderful. And I went, what's going on? I said, was there a miracle? I'm like thinking God came down and anointed her. Right. She said, I went today and they gave me immunotherapy. And within 15, 20 minutes, she felt like 360, like, where are those?
You don't want to be 360.
Well, you know what I mean. Where
She's going to 180.
Maybe she was doing pirouettes. She was doing 360 degrees pirouettes.
Back where I started.
So where are those fucking
How
stories?
bored are you guys? We're not doing this. You're bored, right? Like it's
know.
boring.
We
when
got
we're
to change
not
the
doing
segment
this.
to math therapy.
Don't talk math with me, Chris. Remember, I'm an artist. Nothing. But shut up. Where are those stories? Where
Because
are
they don't push the narrative. You know what I mean? They don't.
That's
And-
why they get plasma from people.
And she said that she was in a room with about 20 people that got the same thing as her. And they all were like looking around at each other, couldn't believe how much better they felt. Like, and they said by tomorrow, they'll feel like they didn't even have it, which I know that not every person is gonna, heal that quickly or feel that much better. And there are more severe cases, but, put a little positive in the negative, I guess. Show people that are healing from it. I'm losing my voice. I'm so fucking excited about this goddamn show.
But do you understand? It's like they can't. And this is what we've been talking about. And I think I would imagine you guys feel the same way. It's like, because you mentioned God, and I went to Catholic school my whole life, but then I got away from it. Like, I don't get me wrong, it's not like I don't, but like there's so much, no doubt in my mind that a higher power watches out for me, and that's something else I've added to my walk. Like, I don't do church on Sundays, but on the walk home every day, there's a church St. Vincent's on 66. I go in, I just say thank you for about 20 fucking minutes, even if it's just 5 minutes, because you cannot convince me that the universe hasn't provided for me in so many fucking ways. And I just feel like, and I got to bring the thing back in my act where I say, and of course they're all dick jokes, but it's like the only thing people want to sit there and bitch when you do jokes about dark things, but the only thing that brings us together as a planet are tragedies and natural disasters. It's not man, it's not organized religion that divides people. You know what I mean? It's great, but all this stuff, but it's like whenever the world gets too full of itself, well, I don't care whether you call it God, Allah, fucking, the shrub in your backyard. It just fucking, when we get too caught up in the adjectives of white, black, Jew, Christian, red, blue, the universe just takes a chunk out of some part of the world, and suddenly it takes all the adjectives with it, and people just want to help their fellow people. Humans want to help fellow humans. And I honestly think that's what the smart people, that's what the grateful people, like, fuck smart. That's what the grateful people will take from the past year. Like, I've said this countless times, I've never enjoyed all three of them. Like, I've always said this before the pandemic. I'm so blessed because if the 3 jobs I have, I know I'm doing them well because I'm laughing while I'm doing them. I'm laughing when I'm telling my stand-up jokes. I'm laughing behind the desk on In Hot Water. I'm laughing when I'm writing my sports sheet. I write a sports sheet. I never told you guys. I'm laughing when I do all of these things. But even so, I have so much more gratitude for it now a year later, because what I said, it's like as comedians, we were taking it for granted. Like fucking people would show up to the show with the 2 drink minimum and be like, I don't like this guy, and we'd be like in the green room saying this crowd's okay or this crowd. Now it's like when the pandemic hit and we were trying to find any way we could to tell jokes, and people were looking for any way they could to hear them. I'm in the park doing a show with no microphone for 8 people on fucking 6 blankets, and they're looking at me like, thank God you're doing this, and I'm looking at them like, thank God you're listening to this, And ever since, it's like I feel like my act has gotten better. I think I'm better on stage now because I'm in even a happier, smarter place. It's incredible how everything happens for a reason, and I'm not one of those people like, this earthquake happened for a reason. No, this earthquake happened. Find the reason to go on. Find the reason, for it to make your life better. As crazy as that sounds, and that's what this year has been. It really has. And for all the people like, all you've done is, I ran and hid. I buried my talents in the ground. Whatever the fuck you want to call it. The people that shut down and gave complete control of their life. Oh, I ache to say it for them. That just sat there and be like, the government will take care of it. They'll send me a fucking check. I don't want their fucking money. I'll make my own money, and I just feel for the people that gave in, and I don't even need to feel anything for the people like us that fucking capitalized on it, because we're like, oh my God, thank you. Thank God COVID came and reminded me that I can take better care of myself, that I can fucking, help other people, that I can fucking really be happy in the job I have, or say, fuck the job I have. I don't want to go back to it. I'd rather fucking just take money from the government. Take it. But you're going to be fucked when this shit, when you run out of someone else's fucking money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Brian and I, we're not comedians. We're not professionals. We like to make people laugh. You guys, Aaron Berg and you and Garrett and Steve are part of the reason we started doing this. No, I mean, would it be great if we got paid for it? Yes. But are we doing it for that? No. We're doing it because we love what we've came into, this family. We think that we can be silly and fun. We're grateful for the lovely family we have. I'm grateful for Brian and what he does in his job to be able to do this for fun.
Yeah, the in hot water fans are really something special.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for saying that, and thank you for being part of that. Like, it was so funny because I can't give you two better comment that I was so excited to meet you in AC, and then when I met you, I was obliterated. I'm like, I'm too drunk to meet you guys right now. Remember? And then you came by the next day. Thank God when we're doing the photos, and I tackled fucking Carol, and I'm like, hey, we're hanging out. But it's what you said, Brian. Like, you cannot convince me that I didn't draw this into my life. Like, if you told me what I wanted to do when I moved up here, I wouldn't have known this. But let me tell you two, it's this. It's this. It's fucking get paid to make people laugh and fucking know the people, and just fucking realize they're just people that don't take themselves seriously, but take fucking, fun seriously, if that makes sense.
Well, and two, I mean, I look at you and Aaron, because you guys discuss more with us about your personal lives. We get to, as viewers, get to see Aaron's life. Aaron and his lovely big city tits grow as a family.
Tits. She gets it,
they're growing as a family, and they want to grow more, and they've gotten this house that's not the money pit. I'm praying it's not the money pit.
It's a fucking beautiful house.
It's good to have an outlet, where you can like relax and not worry about the day and laugh at just silliness. And the show is always hilarious, and it's just a nice escape, I think, for some people, just to get away and crack up with farts that I send in.
It really is like I'll never forget when Berg, and I still bust his balls because he's like, let's just do a morning show with Kevin Brennan. I'm like, we're not doing it. And I love Kevin Brennan. He's an acquired taste, but like, we're not doing a show with him. And he's like, well, do you want to move to mornings and just see where it goes? I said, yeah, Berg, I'll tell you something. I don't know what we're doing on this show, but we're really good at it. I don't know. We show up, and that's the other thing I always say to him. Like on my walk home, sometimes I'll listen to Colin Cowherd for my sports team, and I think he's the best sports show out there. 3 hours, but he talks about it. And you look at other shows like Stern used to be, and all the work that goes into it. And I'm not saying we don't work hard, but all the work we put into this show is the blood, sweat, and tears from the decades we've given our lives to comedy, where suddenly and I'll say it again, you draw in the right people, and suddenly, boom. I'm like, we just show up, and the show, we don't, we say it, I said it today, it's like, God, this is even better than rehearsal, because we don't rehearse. And one time, I'll never forget, Mike Ward was on the Balls of Show years ago, and it was such a compliment, because Mike Ward is fucking huge in Canada. He's a great comedian, but he's like one of the biggest comedians in Canada, but he was on our network, and he was talking about our show like he just started watching, and he fell in love with it. He's like, it's like, do they have writers on that show? And Cumia lost his mind laughing. He's like, yeah, writers. Geno's too drunk to write his name when he gets there. It's just so funny. But
well, and you guys play so well off of each other.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, just... And that's something I'm going to ask this
now. The chemistry!
Well, I'm going to ask it now. I know we have other shit, but I'm not worried about it. I've always wanted to know, and you might have said this and I missed it. How did, as a fan right now, not the host of Strong Therapy, how did you and Aaron meet? Because I've always wanted to know, is there a funny story? Just, was it normal? I've never heard this.
So you're proving my point about how you draw things in. Okay. I love telling this story. I can't believe you've never heard this story. Okay. Before any of this, it was, I'll never forget, it was January 2016. This is how I know. January of 2016, I'd been living with Kevin and Molly, in a 4-bedroom apartment, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I was, this is the old Stand, and I was a regular host there, and he was a regular host there. And so But this was back when all I did was stand up and I wrote my sports sheet. But it was great because it was 5 nights a week. And so I have friends in LA and I would go out to LA for a month or two at a time. Okay. Because I could, and it's all perception, right? So like Geno's out in LA this month, and all I'm doing is my sheet at night, which is great because sports are over at 9 p.m. there and doing spots in LA. And if you do one spot in LA, you do a spot at the store, the belly room, which is the shittiest room at the comedy store. And someone takes a picture, it's up on fucking Instagram. And what does everyone back east say? Well, Geno's doing the comedy store, So it was that much fun. But all I'm doing is drinking and hanging out on the beach, okay? So I was doing this once or twice a year, going out for a month, hanging with my buddy Bronson Jones. Okay. So back to January 2016. And I've been doing a podcast on my laptop during football season called Geno's Picks, which isn't the video. It was I pick all the games. Okay. So then Berg, I'll never forget, I bump into him at the stand. I'm hosting the early show. He's hosting the late show. And he looks at me and he's like, hey, do you do a podcast? And I say, yeah, but just during football season. And I'm not really into it. Why? And Aaron Berg looks at me and says, someone asked me today if I do a podcast. And I said, the only person I'd want to do a podcast with is Geno Bisconte. Now, I'll tell you something I'm really good at. And you've heard me say it, like seeing the compliment and everything. And that's one of the greatest compliments I've ever gotten. And I looked at him and I said, are you fucking with me? Let's start doing a podcast. And he has no idea how to do it. And it's not hard, especially when you're me and you bumped into a guy 2 years earlier doing a gig in Reno. And he's like, you should do a podcast. He took my laptop that night to his room. He's one of those electronic guys. He brings it back. He's like, this is the button you hit to record your stuff. This is the button you hit to upload it. He walks me through it. So when Berg says that, I'm like, he's like, how do we do it? I'm like, I come to your place with my laptop. We talk into it for an hour and I upload it. And he goes, and he knows nothing. So he's like, oh, awesome. I have a hot tub. We'll do it in my hot tub and we'll call it In Hot Water. That is where the name came from. Everyone thinks it came from the name and it works because we're always getting ourselves in trouble. But that was where it came from. So, and this is more the fact that good things happen fast or every overnight sensation had 20 years to get to that night before. So I'm like, all right, let's start. I'll come by next week. And no sooner do I say that to Aaron, who's right there, I turn around to my buddy Jeffrey Gorian, who I share a birthday with, December 29th. And I hadn't seen him. And remember, it's early January. I hadn't seen him since our birthdays. And I look at him like, Jeffrey. I go, Jeffrey, hey, happy belated birthday, buddy. He's like, oh, I'm like, how you doing? It's good. And remember, I don't know if you know this, but he had a thing called Comedy Matters, which was a comedy newsletter. And he goes, what are you up to? And I literally look over my shoulder like, me and Aaron Berg are starting a podcast. He's like, all right. And he puts it in the thing the next day. He's like, big news in the comedy industry. Geno and Aaron Berg are starting a podcast. Okay. So this is the part you love because you know me and you know Aaron. Okay. So we're doing the podcast literally 3 months. We've done 12 podcasts, mate. Okay. And it's just me and him talking. And I wonder if we can still find him. I'll remind me to find the link because it was just me. And it's on this thing called greenroomradio.net. Okay. And fast forward to it's like April. Okay. And I go and do the boss's show with Bob Levy. And I do great. Of course I do great because it's radio. You see me with the boss. And we say anyone can do it with the boss, how to just sit back and enjoy it. So I go and I crush, of course. I get done, I leave. Berg's like, hey, he's like, yeah, I talk about it. He's like, yeah, I'm there this week. So he goes on. Kills, right? Mentions he does a podcast with me. Keith the Cop. It's all fucking, everything's breaking, fucking, everything's coming up, Geno and Aaron. It's right when the Legion of Skanks are fucking getting ready to leave. So a couple weeks later, I'll never forget. I do it on a Monday. Fucking Tuesday, I'm leaving for LA. I got to pack and everything, vanishing for another month. And I go, actually, you know what? Jesus Christ. No, wait, this had to be, late April because I remember the NCAA tournament was on so I leave, okay? Excuse me. So I do great on the podcast. And the second time I'm on, and Keith the Cop comes up to me and he says, hey, Gene, he's like, great job again. I'm like, thanks, buddy. He goes, do you and Aaron do a podcast? I go, yeah. And he says to me, it's like, you ever think of doing it in a studio? And I go, yeah, that'd be great. We just do it on our laptop and I leave. I fucking leave. My brain's already in LA. I leave. Like you can imagine. So thank God, because the universe takes care of me. A couple days later, Berg does the boss's show. And I get a call from him. I'm sitting in LA. I'll never forget. I'm fucking, at a bar with my buddy. Phone rings. Berg. I'm like, hey, Aaron, what's up? He's like, hey, stupid. Did Keith the Cop offer us a job? And I go like this. He might have. You're an idiot. He hangs up on me. And he calls me back, and it's been like this ever since. He calls me back an hour later. All right, here's what we're going to do. Yeah, he did, but you're too dumb to know this. So I called him. He's like, and we're going to start. He's like, and, he handles all the, and he's always been, I say this on the show all the time, it works because we all play off each other so well. But fucking in real life, he gets all the hard work done. I'm the fucking, glad-handing fucking, we're two totally different people that fucking cover all the bases, So he goes, he's like, look, we're only getting, I'll never forget, it was it was $250. It's like we're splitting $125 a week to do the show. And I said, we're getting paid. We're getting paid to have an audience given to. He's like, yeah, just making sure. And so then the best part is, and you'll remember this if you're a Cumia fan, he calls back like I'm still there a week later. He calls back. He's like, I got great news. Cumia's in rehab. I say, what? He's like, Cumia's in rehab. He's like, let me finish. And he goes, let me finish. He's like, Cumia's in rehab. So while he's away 2 weeks, he got a lot of people guest hosting the shows. He's like, and they asked us to guest host a couple in his absence. And I'll never forget, we did the last show before he came back. It was me and him. And then we just started doing the show, and we just fucking never looked back. And we just always had fucking fun with it, and it was great. And that's how we wound up doing it, and we're just so lucky. But it's like one of those things where it was undeniable, but it just happened so quickly in terms of, like what goes on. It's not like overnight sensations with TV now, but the way we got it so quickly and the way we were just a good fit and everything, it's just been incredible. And that's how it happened. But it's hilarious to me how, you can imagine Berg's like, hey, dummy. And I'm like, I don't pay attention. He's like, you don't pay attention to anything. I'm like, it'll take care of itself. How do you know? It will. It's that line.
Because Aaron's the worrier more than
Aaron is. Aaron's the one that I always say when Aaron calls, I say two things: yes and thank you. You know what I mean? Because he does, but he has to be because he's very responsible and he has all those fucking things to worry about. I said it when I lived out of my car, and I say out of my car, I'm not being vain because I can't say I was homeless. I give too much credit. I always had a place I could have gone to sleep, but when you have nothing, you realize how little you need. But when you're Aaron and you're always just responsible to someone else. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it as a compliment to him because he's such a loyal, incredible person. We all are in our own way. He's always worried about that stuff. And I'm like, it's going to take care of itself. It's that line. I don't know if you remember it, but you have kids. I'm sure you've watched Finding Nemo countless times. And do you remember the scene where Dory and Marlin are in the whale? They're in the whale. And Dory is fucking me. And she's just like, yeah, whatever. He says, go to the back. And he's like, we're not going to the back. We don't know what's going to happen. We're going back. So she goes to the back, and he grabs her, and they're holding onto the tongue. And she goes, you got to let go. It's like, how do you know nothing bad's going to happen? And she goes like this. I don't. She goes, I don't. Yeah. And he just goes, fuck it. And he lets go. And I just look at that scene so much, and that's, how do you know if nothing bad's going to happen? I don't know. But we'll handle it when we get there. And it's been, and no matter what, this show's like I don't care about what I say, what I do, because I want to say what I want to say, and I don't want to fucking walk out of that city and be like, you know what, I should have fucking told these people, and I don't. And if something ever happened, we're like, you can't do this anymore, I'm like, well, something else will come up. But I'm having too much fun to compromise. And my act has always been like that as well, because it's like there was never a moment where I said with my act, you move up here, 2001, you move up here. And back then, you're like, this is what you do. I'm going to move to New York. I'm going to fucking, I'm going to get in the clubs. I'm going to fucking get a following. I'm going to get a comedy. I'm going to get a festival. And then I'm going to get my 10 minutes. I'm going to get on TV. And then I'm going to get an agent. And then I'm going to get a TV show, right? And you try playing the game. And there was never a moment where and it's always like, yeah, you got to clean up your act. You got to do this. And I was never like, I'm not doing it. I'm going to say what I want to say, But there was a moment where I said, I'm done. I'm just going to say what I want to say. And see what happens, And one, the world changed so much over the next 20 years that there became a platform and there became a following. And suddenly with all the ways to monetize, you don't need to fucking get on TV. You got a loyal fan base. You're great. And I'll tell you something else that I've always said, that I've always said. Like, if this is the straight path, if you want to go a long distance, if you want to go from fucking, let's just say from fucking Maine to fucking Sacramento, and you have a straight path, Okay, well, make sure you stay on that path, because the second you're like, let me just veer a little bit off course just so I don't, let me change one thing. Let me change two things. And then by the time you go that long distance, you don't know what you missed. You're not where you set out to be. And I never fucking wavered with my stupid dick jokes and my fucking laugh in the face of fucking tragedy and all that shit. And I'm making it sound like it's bigger than it was, but it's easy to make it sound bigger than it was because I'm where I am. You know what I mean? And that's just something like that I pity. I pity these people. Pity this poor creature, mankind not. That's an E. Cummings poem. You want to know the second line? I couldn't tell you. I just remember that one. But I will say this. Yeah, that's right, Carolyn. Chicks dig books, Brian, and big dicks like you have, Brian. But I will say this. I feel bad for guys like you watch, like me behind that desk. You watch Aaron fucking, behind the desk of the microphone. We say what we want to say, and it's so, I hate to use the word, but it's the only organic, because there's no governor on what we're saying. There's no, the second we say it, is it okay to say it? You watch guys on late night TV now. You watch Kimmel, they're just fucking talking heads who have no control of what they're saying, and they're just saying, I better dance. I better dance, monkey dance, and say what they want me to say, or be careful of what I say, and it's not funny, and it's certainly not art, and it's just the sin for them. They're rich. God, they have so much money and so much fame. That's gotta be great. How's it working out for you? Because I've got memes sharing the greatest cat in the fucking world, so I don't mind so much.
Sticks is enough in the world.
Yeah, they're just kind of going through the motions. I think there was a big vacuum created because, there wasn't anything funny anymore, honestly. I mean, Opie and Anthony was no more, and I think Howard Stern isn't what he was. And
he's not like I'm sorry to interrupt you. Like, I used to say Stern should be able to cut his, and I'll say before I say anything, we all know the fact that you're there doing this, that we're there doing this, we owe that to Stern. That's not a question. Okay? And I used to say Stern should be able to go on the air and clip his nails for 5 hours, and people should listen and say thank you when he's fucking done. I mean that. But now he's such a show for the left, I find him unlistenable. And between you and me, I was talking to Florentine about it. You know Jim Florentine, brilliant comic, has been on the show, dated Robin. He's fucking, he's tight with Stern. He's like, I can't listen to it anymore. I can't. Because he's not him. He's not him. He's fucking, Jack at the end of fucking Cuckoo's Nest. He's fucking smothered with a pillow, and he's the guy sitting there in the middle of the pandemic in his Hamptons place saying, just shut up and stay inside. Wait it out. Wait it out? I know you're sleeping on a pile of money next to a supermodel, sleeping on an Eames in my car with my cat, but you're I'll say it. Who had the over under 45 minutes? How can you be so obtuse? How can you be so obtuse, Brian?
So fucking obtuse.
What did you say?
That's twice you gave me lung cancer, Brian. Son.
That's our job.
Hey,
I said, how could you be so obtuse? I promised I wouldn't tell anyone about any of our transactions. I don't even know the next line. What you call me?
I was going to say, did Keith the cop offer to take you to lunch or something?
I wasn't there. Berg handled all that, but he might have. I don't know what went on. I was getting drunk. Let me tell you how it worked. Berg booked everything while I was drunk 3,000 miles away. Hard to believe.
It sounds like a great plan. I mean, I did see when we went to Atlantic City how focused Aaron is when he's doing the show. Like, I was like, I think he walked by me like really fast, and I was talking to someone, and he was in work mode. Like, I think also us fans need to realize that although you guys as comedians are there to take care of us and like make us laugh and stuff like that, it is a fucking job. And there are so many working parts behind the sscenes that those of us that are coming to watch a show don't see. Like, I told even Luby, I was
Luby Lemmy.
Yes.
Luby.
Fucking Luby.
She hit me in the face with a fucking plate. But what did you tell her? Go on, I'm sorry.
So I had told Luby.
She wears pants amazingly.
Yeah.
She does everything amazing.
I wish I could only wear pants, but fuck, her legs are as tall as me. But she, I told her I saw her running around, and I was like, Luby, do you need help? And she like looked at me and she goes, what do you mean? And I said, I'm that kind of person. Do you need help? And I even told her before the Austin show, I said, I might be coming as a fan. I said, but if you need me to run and go do something, I know you guys are running around doing stuff. I said, I like to be helpful. I'm a mom. I don't sit fucking still at home. I won't be able to sit still without my kids and my husband.
Usually standing up, running around doing something.
Yeah.
I'll be cleaning this and using my ass as a broom to clean up the floor at the same time. My mother-in-law says that all the time.
It's kind of like that dog in the cartoon that walks on his ass. You see ass cheeks in the snow.
Yeah, I'm familiar. What happened?
I wish my ass was that.
It's fine for me. It's fine with me.
Anyways, well, we had a great show, and I really love having you here. I know that you have some shows coming up. Do you want to tell us about any of your shows coming up?
We are, and again, shout out to Aaron Berg. I was trying to look him up. Forget it. Shout out to Aaron Berg because, he books all the comedians of the compound stuff. Like this weekend, Friday, I'm actually back at the Dojo of Comedy with my buddy Josh Denny, who's in town from LA. Saturday, I'm doing the Cos Cobb room that our buddies Matt Mead started up. Aaron and Kevin Dabrowski and Natalie Cuomo were there last week. But yeah, it's just all on GenoBisconte.com and just anywhere you can go. Get to a live comedy show. I say in the act, like laughter physically does heal you. It's a fact. It's not a cute phrase anymore. And, that's why I'm a conspiracy theorist, because I'm like, people don't want us laughing. No, I don't know who, but people that are afraid are easier to control, and people that are enjoying themselves laughing at a comedy show, clapping at a movie theater, they're not afraid. And the laughter relieves stress, releases endorphins, physically heals you from the inside. It does. And that's why people need to not just fucking laugh. And I think we're learning, stand up to these assholes that used to look at you because they didn't think something was funny and they didn't want you to laugh. That should be, the joke I say in my act is, that should be a hate crime and not the kind Brian jerks off to. I mean, like just a hate crime, And I mean, it's like now I think after the past year, comedy, for me, I think my act has gotten even better. And I know that sounds arrogant, but I mean it because I have so much more conviction in the stuff I'm saying. And it's almost like I'm lobbying with the crowd. I'm like, fucking laugh at that. And not like if they don't think it's funny, but I'm like, you don't be afraid to laugh at that. You don't look for fucking permission to be happy. Because I think we saw how that worked out in the past year. And some people are still giving the government their fucking, waiting for permission for the government to be happy or anything. And you can't. And I think we were all taking that for granted to some extent. And once we were challenged with it, the smart people are like, wait, this doesn't seem right. Me waiting for fucking validation on what makes me happy, on what, you know what I mean? So just get to a show and fucking, and I tell people all the time, subscribe to Compound Media, subscribe to Gas Digital, fucking follow fucking podcasts you like on Patreon, fucking, of course you listen to Strong Therapy because
Gum Fridays.
Because you get what you pay for. And there's nothing good on TV now that's not fucking controlled, And we're ahead of the curve.
Or even someone sitting there saying what they say off the top of their head, just trying to be funny, and then 2 weeks later being canceled and apologizing for what they said. Like, I'm so over that. Jimmy Fallon apologizing for some. Anyways, that's another thing. See, things piss me off too.
You never apologize. Because
but they still do. I mean, you never apologize, yet people keep apologizing. And has it ever worked? Jesus Christ, I don't get it. But you're right. They just do. It's like, well, I don't know why you're apologizing. Like, I'll defend everything I say. Like, I did a podcast this week, and I had my buddy Phil Duckett, black colored fella, as you say in Indiana, and he was explaining white privilege to me, and I'm like, I get what you're saying. He's like, you never had, to worry about when you got pulled over by a cop, and he goes, and I know you got pulled over a lot. Like I did. It's like you never had to worry about you keeping your hands on the wheel. I'm like, I didn't, and that's terrible. And I think like more than ever, the cops are getting weeded out. But I've never been. We joke around, like throw around the N-word when someone else says it, just to say like, you can't have that word. You can't try and control me with that word. You can't fucking put it in my face and be like, I can say you can't. That's racist. I say that all the time. In the 1920s, if a black guy went to drink out of a water fountain and I said, you can't do it, and he said, why? I would very matter-of-factly say to him, you can't drink out of that because you're black. I can because I'm white. And if I say the N-word in a fucking rap song or whatever, a black guy says to me, you can't say that. He'll literally say the same way. You can't say that because you're white. I can because I'm black. That's racist. Either they're both racist or neither one is. And until we know the difference, stay out of the nigger fountain, Brian. I've said that countless times.
All I gotta say, Geno, is you're a big old cracker, so you better shut up.
Daddy doesn't back down. Daddy doesn't backpedal.
Yeah, I was going to say, a cop doesn't care what color you are. As soon as you say, I don't answer questions, it doesn't matter what color you are because they have it in for you at that point.
That sovereign citizenship doesn't go too far.
No. And Mr. Geno with the Comedians of the Compound are also going to be in Austin. I brought that up earlier, May 14th and 15th.
You guys are coming out.
I might try to be there too.
Just this girl.
Get your ass out there, Chris.
This girl right here is going to be there. Mr. Brian's watching the children.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, you're not, Brian? You're babysitting?
I'm just taking care of the children.
Nice. Rearing the chillin'.
The chillins.
Yes.
Well, shall we bring out the old...
Oh, that's right. Because you told me you're going to be getting in trouble with her, Kayla. Our girl Kayla.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm hanging with Carolyn. I'm like, oh, what could possibly go wrong?
I know. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so much fun. And she's got a whole table, too. So she's got a whole bunch of friends. It's going to be hella fun. And then I'm actually staying a little bit longer. I have family in Texas.
Wow, good for you.
And my cousin, Keith, he's a veteran. And he rides motorcycles. And he posts on Facebook. You'll love this.
He's a veteran. And he rides motorcycles.
Well, shut up. And every Tuesday, I love him to death. He posts a picture of his Taco Tuesday, and that's his thing he does every week. And I called him when I decided to come, and he said, well, what do you want to do when you want to come visit? And I said, I just want to spend a Taco Tuesday with you and get my picture with you on a motorcycle. So that'll be awesome. You know, one of those moments, like you said, it's nothing big. It's something small, but it's going to be something I'll remember for the rest of my life. So
that's fucking
really
awesome.
excited.
Yeah.
So we're going to call in the old man if you want to be involved, Geno, before we end the show.
Oh, what do you think? You think I called in to talk to you two dolts?
I know, right? Old man.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
That's how you get him? You just say, oh, man. Okay, go on.
What we've always done. Say hi to Geno.
Yeah, Geno.
Hey, buddy, how you doing? How you doing, buddy?
I'm above ground.
Hey, above ground. I hear you, dog.
Son.
Hey, Geno was talking to you like 6.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
So, what did you want to talk about today? As far as, I better smell good, motherfucker.
No, you smell great.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
What did you have to talk about today?
Well, what are you guys talking about?
Well, we talked about Krispy Kreme donuts. Have you ever used a Krispy Kreme donut other than eating?
Sure. It's got a hole down there and sit on it sometimes from a piles.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Did he say piles?
Yes, I've got vicious piles around my anus.
Gotcha. Go on.
Do you see that lovely cat 6?
Yes. Hi, 6.
Oh, say hi.
We love 6. Do you have a cat or a pussy?
No cats. Can't stand them.
No. I like cats.
I hate crazy pussies.
You do?
You're kind of addictive, old man. I'm just shaking my addiction to my last one.
See, the problem is you get addicted to them. If you get them in your life, them crazy pussies, you'll never get rid of them.
Why does Brian keep nodding his head at the woman on your right when you're saying that, crazy old man?
I don't know. This asshole over here. Shut the fuck up.
I know.
Dumbass.
Well, let's thank everybody for coming along on the show today. Thank you, Geno. We appreciate you so much.
I had an absolute blast. Thank you for having me, guys.
See you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
He doesn't sound good, that guy.